universalautomation.org, it's about sharing a technology, a shared runtime execution engine.
We call it a game change in the automation because we have first one technology which is based on the IEC 64099, which is the standard which aims at decoupling hardware and software.
Hardware itself is becoming very, very performant in terms of processing and CPU power, and the future is more and more about software.
This approach is really a winning approach because it's very, very flexible. You develop the application once and you can reuse in each different configuration.
That's exactly what Universal Automation and 61499 enables, because it brings a new formalism for developing software, which is object-oriented in nature, and which allows deployment of a distributed hardware for the actual final control system. So let's say that it's a marriage made in heaven.
So if I want to make more conscious decisions based on my business data, which also come from the automation level, I need universal automation to get this data in an efficient way and with the right engineering efforts on the level when I can do and run the analytics.
Offers are available, not just from Schneider Electric with EcoStruxure Automation Expert, but also from Advantech, from Stahl, from ESA in Italy, and from other companies.
Advantech is growing really, really fast. And I believe if you want to keep on growing in the next future, you need to be able to innovate. And when I see universal automation approach, it is exactly the way of innovation we need to go with.
Most of our customers from process automation are pretty conservative, so never change a running system. But now we see a new generation coming up, what is used to new technologies, and they are open to test, to try these new functionalities. And I think most of them pretty well understand the advantages on this. I'm doing this now for 20 years, and I think over the years, this is the most exciting changes.
And from my experience, I see that in the IT, for example, there has been a big revolution. And I expect the same in automation. I don't know when it will happen. Probably takes a little bit of time, but probably a revolution will come.
Good morning and good afternoon to everybody, wherever you are on the earth. And welcome to this new session of the UAO Goes Live. Today we have a very special session. So until now we have seen a bit how and what is universalautomation.org. We have seen a few use cases with some company like Platinum, like Emirim, and some others. And we have been discussing about the use of universal automation and let's say what are the advantages of using such kinds of open platform in terms of total cost of ownership. And today we want to spend a bit more time with the vendors, because as you know, universalautomation.org is a non-profit association made with users, vendors, and universities. And we wanted to give today a bit the floor to the vendors. So I'm happy to welcome on stage with me today André Fritsch from the company Stahl. Hi, André.
Yes, hello, Greg. Hello, everybody out there.
I'm happy to have you with us today, André, and the company Stahl. Just, saying a few words about that. Universalautomation.org was created made official, let's say, November 2021. And maybe not a lot of you know, but the company Stahl is one of the founding members of this non-profit association. So that's why it's a great pleasure to have André representing Stahl on the stage with me today. André, let's cut it short and let's see what you have to tell us. Maybe for the viewers which are with us today, it's not yet clear who is the company Stahl. Could you tell us a few words about it, maybe?
Yeah, Sure, I can. Yeah, company Stahl was founded by a guy called Raphael Stahl, and that's also the secret behind our name, R. Stahl from Raphael. And that happened in 1876, so quite some time ago. And yeah, it looks like we will celebrate our 150 years anniversary very soon. So hey, very exciting. And
Yeah.
besides
We are
some
waiting
other
for the party. Huh?
activities, oh yes, oh yes. I think they should start organizing it right now. We need a lot of
Yeah.
drinks. Yeah, besides some other activities, Stahl became one of the pioneers for explosion protection. And also that happened, yeah, that's also around birthday. So it's about 100 years ago when we entered the business of explosion protection. Yeah, and good to make a long story short, a 100-year story short, we are now represented in approximately 80 countries all over the world, 1,700 employees. And the last year was a very good one, very successful one that made our CEO also very happy after these poor years. Yeah, maybe you remember these things like COVID and supply chain issues and so. And looks like we are over it, and so we ended up at about 330.6 million euros. So that's not too bad. Yeah, today our company is 100% dealing with safety and explosion protection. So reliability, quality, and all these things. That is one of the most important topics for all of us.
And for your company, which is basically looking at safety in general for the industry business, what were the driver to decide to become one of the founding members of Universal Automation.org?
Yeah, that's of course a question I got a lot. So Stahl, explosion protection, and all this. Why do we do that? And looking at our product range, there is of course a lot of products that are not that much related to these open automation topics. So we have a range of electrical products, installation material, and these things. We do have lighting equipment, and but our third pillar, and that's the interesting one right now, that's the hazardous area products for process automation industries. And this product segment, the automation segment, we call it, we do have these interface solution, so with intrinsic safety type of protection and all these. And these interfaces, they are installed between the automation level and the field level. So we are always sitting between two chairs, or in other words, an open and let's say interoperable solution is something very essential for us. And of course, also our business. So, but like many other companies in our size, we cannot implement these standards on our own. So we need organizations, strong organizations behind us. And that's finally one of the reasons why we are member of, in fact, several of these kind of standardization organizations. And I think the UAO is certainly one of the most interesting one of them. So we see a very big potential here.
So yes, very big. I mean, very big potential and clear. I mean, openness is at the core of what Universal Automation.org is doing. And but it led me to think a bit. What are for Stahl? What are some specific? I mean, when you look at UAO's mission, UAO's initiative, where we want to go, what are some specific values which are, let's say, resonating with Stahl and your company values and goals?
Yeah, that is also related to our product segment of automation products and the solutions. That started also a long time ago with simple products like safety barriers and these things. But nowadays we mainly talk about more complex products, and that is something like remote I/O technology. We now introduce the Ethernet APL field switches into the market, also a very important new technology. And such systems, remote I/O, APL, and so on, they totally rely on the connectivity to host systems.
Yeah.
So today, and the classic solution is to use a kind of real-time protocol, what is standardized, let's say more or less standardized. That is already pretty good. But our experience over the years is that these standard protocols, the integration into host systems sometimes leave, let's say, some room for interpretation, to be polite. So finally, nearly every standard connection to a system is somehow different, depends on the system, depends on protocol, depends on release versions, and. And that finally results into a pretty high complexity and less easy interoperability. And in other words, the customers and our own, we do have a lot of work to make a standard connection running. And that's where now things like from the UAO, the common runtime system, that could be a very good solution. So this was one of our first ideas when we heard about it, that can help. So if everything what is connected together is communicating together and is connected and everything works on the basis of the same runtime, then it should work by definition. So that is one very important argument for us. Interoperability, connectivity. And another point is, of course, that customers, they ask for more functionality, but on the other hand side, they expect to reduce complexity. And that's also something we always try. That's also part of our development strategy: higher functionality, less complexity. And the reason behind it is pretty simple. So there are less and less senior experts out there that are trained on the technology and all the different technologies out there. And so mainly in a hazardous area, for example, that is a real challenge. You cannot just change something, modify something in a hazardous area. So by this UAO runtime that we use now, we are able to offer more functionality on the one hand side and in a hazardous area, of course, but simplifying the work of our customers. And this package, that was pretty, let's say, convincing to us and to our management.
So simplifying the work of your customers, basically, and the fact that we are using a common runtime, so not really working on a standard, which then leads to sometimes different interpretation from different people who are implementing that standard, but directly having, let's say, a plug and play or a ready-to-use product which you can directly implement to your system. Is that
exactly?
Yeah,
That's
those are the 2
exactly,
points. Huh? Yeah, and I mean, this is what we were explaining at the introduction for maybe for some of the viewers who could not watch the first release of the UAO Goes Live. I mean, we share a common technology, but it's not like we share a standard, so that people or let's say companies have to go back to their R&D, and then here is the standard, and they have some papers, and then they have to implement a solution to meet that standard. But here it's really a solution, a ready-to-use package, which is available on GitHub, by the way. So you become member, you get access to the source code of this runtime, which is hosted on GitHub, and you can directly copy and paste and port that runtime execution engine to your own platform. So that's really a massive gain in terms of R&D and easiness, for sure. And so, in what ways do you see that the membership to UAO contributes to the industry innovation? Because you said yes, you've been involved in many initiatives, but you see that UAO is very promising as an initiative. And why do you see that? Can you tell us a bit more about that part?
Yeah, I think one of the reasons is UAO is really a team of companies, and based on our experience with the other standardization organizations over the last decades, this is a much more powerful method and much faster than doing it on your own. And even if you're a big company, even here it is much more difficult, and sometimes you start to run into the wrong direction. And what I think also what is very very helpful in this scenario, they are also end users member of the group. So if there are some ideas, concept, questions, whatever, we can directly address our ideas and visions to the user and discuss it. And then, of course, on the other hand side, the users, they also do have a chance to get their wishes, their requirements into our group. So it's a very good dialogue and not just only running into one direction because this crazy product manager had some strange ideas. And in my opinion, that's a much more effective way to develop innovations and innovations that are really useful. That's what I mean with this. Otherwise, and everybody I think knows that you develop a great solution, and afterwards you start to search for the problem, and that's something we don't want to do. So also discussions and information exchange in the UAO with all the members together in the member meetings and the brainstorming. I would not call it the brainstorming. Maybe it's already a brain hurricaning or something like that. So that's a very effective way. So I think as a conclusion out of this, so UAO is a kind of, let's say, accelerator for innovations. And that's finally, of course, good for all our industries out there.
Yeah, I can only agree with you. I see it from the UAO side for sure. We see us as helping to advance the industry, and for sure you mentioned the vendors and the users. I mean, we need all this ecosystem. One we have not mentioned enough, and we will mention a bit more in the following live, are the universities as well, because they have a big role to play in all of that. Let's say the first obvious role is like training the next wave of technician engineers on the market who will handle the technology, so that they know this technology, they have learned it in school and everything. But as well in terms of innovation, because we see a lot of PhD studies done, lots of research done around 64099 and around industry of the future or industry 4.0, which could be, let's say, easily integrated into the automation thanks to the technology that we are sharing. So that's a massive look toward the future for sure. And but for sure now we look at the products which are on the market, and we've said, Stahl, André, you've been one of the founding members, so 9 founding members within the Universal Automation Network. You are representing one of them, and you have been one of the first to release a product on the market. I think it's called the Remote IO.
Yeah.
Am I correct? Can you tell us a bit more about that?
Yeah, I was hoping that you asked for it because I prepared one more slide about it. Our remote IO, that is something I think we call a kind of flagship product. So that's a product, and we started in this technology already many years ago. So 1987 was our first generation, and of course far away from open standards and all these stuff. But today, the product that we offer, it's a remote IO system for hazardous area, as I mentioned before. That's our core competence, of course, and the product we see for installation in a zone 1. And basically all over the years we had exactly all the problems I was talking about: connectivity, interoperability. So every new connection, new real-time protocol was a kind of challenge. And on top of this one, and that's a specialty also on the hazardous area products, we need to certify the product for the hazardous area. And there are several certification authorities. So ATEX, IECX, but there are more. There is FM in the US, there is in Metro in Brazil, and for this reason, you cannot just change the hardware. So that means if you have developed something, you have to stay with it for the next, let's say, 10 or maybe even 15 years. There's limited possibility or very costly to change something by, I don't know, adding some more memory into the system or something like that. All that is not that easy. And so we need a hardware platform And that's what we developed with the system that should be able to fulfill the requirements over the next 10, 15, maybe 20 years. So it's more or less oversized for standard remote I/O. But because of this, we came to the idea that we are maybe able to integrate runtime systems into the product. And with this, we started to, let's say, to play around something like this with different open automation concepts. So there are different concepts out there. There is from the NAMUR open architecture that can be handled, the modular automation with MTP, the OPAF, and everybody is now working on some open solutions. And so, that's what we finally did. We were looking for runtime systems like the UAO runtime integrated into our unit, and then we can offer, I would say, a very unique combination. Hazardous area, so in one installation, intrinsically safe I/O, and a runtime system like the UAO runtime inside, and all this together. That is something where I made a new name for it, because that's much more than just remote I/O. Now we call it the extended I/O. The extended I/O now is something that extends our functionality, but on the other hand side, extends the possibilities on the end user side. And there's also the homepage here on this slide on the top. So there's some more information what all is possible. And you see also on the slide here all the different logos, all these digitalization trends, open technologies. That is basically where we now make use of our remote I/O system.
So basically, here we see that we have a product which is not the typical PLC system or DCS system or even, let's say, industrial PC. Here we speak about a remote I/O, but having capabilities of automation capabilities, basically control or data handling or whatever you want it to do, basically, right?
You will never be able, and we are not interested in to control a whole refinery with 100,000 I/O with it. That's not
Sure.
our scope. But for some
Sure.
local control applications, and that's exactly what we are talking about. Local control, additional functionalities, simple logic combinations in the field, or all these stuff. That's a perfect solution.
So perfect for distributed task, local control, and local data handling. Yeah, for sure. And this is what we see as well with universal automation, is that we are not yet only focused on the traditional automation system as what we were used to use in automation right now, but we see that thanks to the technology, we are kind of creating a new category of automation product, basically, which were not specifically doing automation before, but which could handle part of the task what they are doing. But for me, what's interesting as well, and maybe that's a question for some of the vendors out there who are interested in joining the association and in let's say implementing the technology. For me, the question is how was the process? How was the process to implement and turn this remote I/O into a universal automation offer?
Yeah. Surprisingly easy. So we did similar projects in the past, and when we started with universal automation, I expected a year of development or something like that minimum. But it turned out to be much simpler. And I talked to our software developer who was mainly involved in it, and he said, so the basic procedure is very straightforward. So you get, of course, you need the UAO runtime that can be downloaded from the GitHub, for example. Then with such a repository link, you download the source code to your machine, install the development tools that are required, of course, and then you develop a build script with, you can use the examples that are already there, for example. You can use it for soft PLC, Raspberry Pi, and these stuff. That's also possibility. And with a build script, you automatically download all the necessary sources from the compilation. And then again, it depends a little bit running on Windows, Visual Studio, or if you run it on a Linux system like we're doing, there's the GCC compiler and make tools available. Yeah, and as I said, it depends a little bit what kind of platform do you use. So for our system, we use an ARM processor on a Linux system. So here it's a very easy, straightforward way. There's a instruction available. Yeah, and after doing the compilation, you got these binary files that is simply copied to the device, so to our remote I/O communication processor. And the only thing what you need then is to download and run the runtime on the device. And with this runtime on the device, you connect it to your development environment, and then you can start to do programming. So I'm not a software specialist, but I understood this explanation, and I understood it's not difficult. It's not rocket science. And finally, how long did it take with all the testing and so on? What of course is required? Maybe 3-4 months, something around that to get the system running.
Yeah.
So it's a pretty easy task.
You started with the assumption, it will take a year, and then 3-4 months that you get your product ready already, with tested and ready to go in the market.
I have to say we got a very good support by the teams, by the UAO team, and the developers also support. But I think that is not exclusively for us. Everybody who will join the team can get this kind of support as well.
Yeah, sure. But at least it gives an idea from the field. I mean, you've been implementing it, and I'm sure in next sessions we get maybe some other vendors who could testimony about how difficult or how easy it was to implement the runtime onto their own product, because that's for sure when we speak about standard or implementing standards. We speak more about 1 year, 2 years, because you have the time to understand everything, to develop something for your own product, to test it, validate it, and everything. And here you get already the answer basically. You just need to implement it onto your own platform. And I just maybe one last question. Let's say. Looking at the market and the fact that the organization is growing, so we had today 87 members within universalautomation.org. But since we are creating this new category of let's say software-defined automation products, where the remote I/O is kind of is part of it, what would you say to other technology vendors which are still hesitating whether or not to join universalautomation.org?
First, I ask my competitors to just switch off at the moment. No, I'm pretty sure. I'm pretty sure there's a lot of vendors now sitting there listening, and I know you're thinking now, let's let them talk. They will promote their solution and tell us how good and easy everything is, and so on and so on. So that's the job of sales and marketing people, of course. But my message here is, I think I don't want to persuade you, but we have to convince you. So just have a closer look at the technology. Maybe attend one of the seminars. So the UAO is doing a regular seminar. I think next week is another one coming up.
In Vienna, yes.
In Vienna, exactly. Vienna, very nice. And have a look at it. Talk with the experts, and let your or in other words, very easy. Seeing is believing. Go there and have a look. So sooner or later, I think you will have to answer the question. So there will be, and that's our experience, and maybe you made the same one. More and more end users now ask for these open systems, open automation, open system solutions, and so on. And you have to find an answer. And one possibility, you can do it on your own. Then you have maybe 1, 2, 3 years, I don't know. But on the other hand side, as we did it, we team up with the experts, and now our time to market is definitely much shorter. So your decision.
Yeah, sure. And I mean, here you said, you spoke about your competitors, but I mean, here we really speak about technology vendors in like general. So it could be more industrial PC manufacturer, standard PLC manufacturer, but doing as well company doing Raspberry Pi. Today we have companies doing more gateways, or we speak about as well switches. Could be intelligent switches, because we see that they are getting more and more power embedded. So basically any product which has a CPU embedded could be potentially interesting for that porting. So yeah, that's a very wide, let's say, range of products which could be used. And thank you for mentioning, by the way, the seminar that we have that we are hosting next week in Vienna. So I've heard, by the way, that Vienna is the most livable city in the world. So I have to check my source, but we'll see that next week. And I mean, we are coming close to the end of this session. I don't see any questions right now in the, let's say, in the chat general or on LinkedIn. So if you have any questions, you still have a few minutes to ask them and get the answer from André, from the experts. Yes, and I mean, as an organization, we are always looking to grow in terms of membership, because this technology is quite good, but people need to know about it, and this is what we are actually doing, expanding that knowledge towards users, knowledge towards technology vendors, knowledge towards universities. So yeah, that's a way to do it, let's say. But before we come to the end of this session, André, do you have any last word that you want to share with our viewers?
Famous last words. No, I would say our UAO runtime solution with the IS1 Plus, especially now in the combination with Zone 1 hazardous area, we have started to promote it now a while, and as I said, we have a homepage and everything.
Yes.
It has been extremely well received by end users, and that shows me that we are on the right track. And of course, there is still a long way to go before out there is all open systems everywhere and so on. But in general, for the moment at least, I would like to thank the UAO and the team behind it for this excellent cooperation. And I'm looking forward to a very promising future. So thanks to everybody.
Yeah, thank you. I just put one of the messages we received from James, which is thanking us. James, you have the possibility anyway. This session is being recorded, so you have the possibility to watch it afterwards and come back to us if you have any question. We'll be happy to help you with that. And so before I close this session, André, I really want to thank you for making this live first live with one of the vendor of Universal Automation, and especially it's a great honor to receive one of the founding member of Universal Automation.org here on the stage with us, especially knowing that Stahl has a really great successful history. So that's even more a pleasure to have you. And to the viewer, thank you for making it with us today, this afternoon, or this morning, wherever you sit on the world. And we'll come back to a next session, which should be around mid of July, where we discuss more a project, but this time with universities. So we get a bit to see all the categories of member of Universal Automation.org and speak more about use cases. So thank you all, and I wish you a very nice day and a nice weekend. Bye-bye.